Great Scott, Marty!
Wow, this is heavy.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in again to this amazing show. So today we're going to be focusing just on the DeLorean from Back to the Future. What an iconic car it is. We've got a great raffle. Colin's going to tell you a bit more about that. Colin, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, my friend. How's Tricks?
All right, Tricks are great. Thanks a lot. So let's get on with the show. So who are we? We are Stars and Cars Events. We run a huge event for our local children's hospice. Here's a bit more info about the event.
Stars and Cars is the largest display of movie and TV replica vehicles in the United Kingdom, hosting your favorite iconic vehicles from both the big and small screen. We also have dozens of professional characters on hand for you to interact with. Not enough for you? Well, we then throw in a selection of props and sets for you to grab photos with. And finally, we top it off with a huge selection of traders for you to fulfill all your geeky needs. The icing on the cake? Every penny of profit from our event goes to our chosen charity, Darien House Children's Hospice.
Oh, a little bit about us. So the event we run is in April every year up in sunny Bolton. This year's obviously had to be postponed due to the COVID-19. So on we go with the virtual shows, and it's been rescheduled for next year. So April the 18th, 2021 at Bolton Arena. And it's the largest display of movie and TV replica vehicles in the country. All the money we make goes to our local children's hospice called Darien House. For them to operate, it cost them £4.8 million just this year. And that won't get any less due to what's happening at the moment. So this is why we're doing these shows, to try and up our contribution to that charity somewhat. So, Colin, I'm going to hand you over. Before I hand over to Colin, we've got some great bits of detail from Mike, DeLorean owner. If you've got any questions for him, any questions about how to build the time traveling machine, please drop them in the comments there, and we'll go through them and get them over to him now. But that's enough for me for now. I'll hand you over to Colin. Colin?
How you doing, guys? Right, yeah, if you want to win your own time traveling DeLorean, we posted on the Facebook page this week that we had one of these to give away worth 50 quid. It's very, very nice. It's got lots of cool detail, and we've got a small video to play for you. That is so cool. Right, yeah, so if you want to enter the draw to win this, it'll be drawn at the end of the show today. Just £2. That's a donation to Darien House Children's Hospice via our Just Giving page there, which is on the screen, and you'll be entered into a draw to win that fantastic prize. So the show today, as Mick kindly introduced, we are going to go back to look at one of the greatest movie vehicles the Back to the Future DeLorean time machine. And we're actually now going to take a trip back, which sounds strange, Back to the Future fans. We're going to go back to 2015.
Yeah, well, my name's Mike Hutchinson. I live in Bingley, West Yorkshire. 37 years old, big Back to the Future fan. As per the film, the time circuits all work by the time circuit switch, which, if you turn, operates the time circuits, which you can program whichever date you want to go to, destination time. One of the main parts of the film, of course, is the flux capacitor, which is just behind me here. Of course, you can see it now fluxing, so when that gets up to 88 mile an hour, well, the car gets up to 88 mile an hour, that's in theory when we should go back into time. Got a few sound effects on the car. We've got engine noises, we've got theme tunes, we've also got a couple of opening scenes from the film as well, which I'll put on for you now.
Jumping back to 2020, we've got Mike Hutchinson. How you doing, Mike?
Hello. Yeah, not so bad, thank you. You?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good,
great,
good.
Great clip. That was recorded in 2015, when it wasn't it? When you just converted the car at that point.
Yeah. Spent 2 years converting it. Yeah, it was filmed, like you say, in 2015. And funny enough, when it was filmed, they called me up at work and said, "Can you get to your car in 20 minutes?" Which is the reason why I'm in a daft suit, should we say? I wouldn't normally wear a suit in the DeLorean.
It's an awesome video. I mean, to be honest, it just showing some of the details there of the car. When did you actually come by the DeLorean? Because it wasn't the Back to the Future car then when you first had it, was it?
No, it wasn't. Well, I actually bought the car as a stock DeLorean back, I believe it was 2013 when I bought it. I bought it from a guy in Ireland, and as you probably know, a lot of the DeLoreans, or all of the DeLoreans, were built for the American market. So my car actually went from Belfast originally. I spent most of its life in Kansas. He then travelled the country back to a Belgian museum as a stock DeLorean. Then some guy bought it and brought it back to London from Belgium, and then it went back to Belfast. So it literally went around the whole of the world, only with a few miles on it, which is great. So I bought it as a stock back then, and then rode it around as a stock DeLorean for a while, and then decided as a Back to the Future fan I needed to convert it. And then it was a painful experience of trying to source the parts and things, and try and find out where they got the parts, what they used, and it took me 2 years to do the research.
Yeah, as we mentioned there about sourcing some of the parts, we actually got some pictures actually to show you of some of these images. So this is obviously the stock DeLorean that you originally had in its unconverted form.
That's right. Yeah. You can see one of my mates there helping me change the lights. There was actually a fault in the light, which is the reason why the lights were off at that point. But it's got a typical Irish number plate on. But you can see in that picture it was actually changed to the 320 Del, which is the current number plate that's on the car. But that particular shot was at Tatton Park Racecourse. But in this particular shot, you can see on your screen now, one of the main parts, should we say, in the conversion is the the vents to the back. But the interior is where we started, which you can see here. Literally, my car differs from other people's cars simply because the fact that you could actually change it back to the DeLorean stock if we wanted to. There is not a hole drilled anywhere on the car. And as you can see here, the interior was done by literally building frameworks into the car, into the interior in wood, and then plastering a sheet of metal over the wooden panels to create the metal that you see in the finished article. And then, of course, all the props, the flux capacitor, all the other things you see in the back of the car today were attached to the wooden pieces. But as you can see there, that's instead of drilling holes, it's a panel that was professionally built by a professional joiner who happened to be my neighbour at the time. So thanks to him, that was done. So as you can see there, the interior of the car starts to look like a Back to the Future DeLorean. Quite a lot of hoses were to be put on by that point, lots of wires. A lot of the car simply is aircraft parts. You've got oil separators there. They're quite hard to come across.
Yes, I mean it's quite. If you watch some of the documentaries of when they put the car together, there's just a lot of junk in the back, really, isn't there? I mean, it looks cool. It's iconic now. There's just random parts that they just kind of piece together from scrapyards and also.
Yeah, the story goes the build of the car apparently went down to a local vintage shop which supplied aircraft parts near the studio, I believe. By the sound of it, just grabbed a handful of stuff to make it think, well, could it be put on a spaceship type vehicle to make it look like it flies, for example? I mean, the DeLorean was chosen. I'm not too sure if you knew this. The DeLorean was chosen because it looks like an aeroplane with the doors up. That's one of the reasons why it was chosen. But yeah, then vintage parts, trying to trace what they used back in the 80s now was unbelievable. And if you can see that picture there, that's the worst picture for a DeLorean owner, converter, should I say. That's all the flux bands that we used to try and bend it, to try and get them angles. Again, had to be done, from my point of view, by a professional artist. But yeah, if anyone's building a DeLorean at the moment, you can guarantee that they'll say that's the worst part of the build. But you can see there different Mallory capacitors, electronic equipment, there's hoses, you name it, anything from an old vintage plane they've probably got on it.
Was there any parts which were really particularly difficult more than anything? Was there one part you think, oh, that's going to be really tricky to get, or did they all generally come together?
Well, no, to be fair, it was all really hard to get hold of. At the time when I was building, going back to sort of 2013, 2014, and at the time it was like black market. It seemed to be black market. No one seemed to be able to tell you where to get the parts. No one seems to find the part. Even when you knew what the part was, it was the case of, well, where do you get it from then? So there are quite a few parts on there that have been cast from the original car, not by myself, by what we call master builders. I mean, people I have to mention that helped me with mine, people like a guy called Gary Weaver, which managed to get access to the original Universal car, managed to get detailed pictures of the props, and was able to cast me them and send them to me from America, which was great. Another guy, very good friend of mine, Bruce, I never can pronounce his surname, Coulomb, I believe it is, Coulomb Enterprises in Florida. He's still a master builder when it comes to building DeLoreans, and of course a lot of the parts were from him as well. Thanks to them guys, I managed to do it for the 2015 celebration.
Oh, that's very cool. I mean, there's some of those images. Then we could see the famous time circuits and the flux capacitor. And you mentioned the video that we showed previously that they all work, don't they? You can kind of as in the film.
Yeah,
obviously,
I mean,
exactly. We're back in time.
Yeah, there must be a wire out. Yeah, there must be one.
Sorry, yeah, the magic's gone, people there, but yeah.
Yeah. Literally, when you turn the time circuits on, it powers up as it did in the film. All the time circuits at the front, you can put whatever destination time you want in there. So on the front of the car, it looks like where you are now, where you're going, etc., etc. So it's pretty good for people who want to go to a specific destination. They can call me up. I can put that destination into the time circuits, take a photograph of them, and hey presto. The idea is we arrive there, well, before we even started, if that makes sense.
No, it's superb. I mean, obviously, looking at the car, you went with the car from the first film. Is there any reason why you didn't opt for? Because I mean, usually when you see pictures of the DeLorean now, it's with Mr. Fusion, the second film, and those kind of upgrades. Is there any reason why you preferred the one from the first one?
Well, I've actually got the parts for the second one. I've actually got Mr. Fusion ready to go on to the back of the car, so I could actually convert it back. There's only small differences between the two anyway, but the plutonium car, like you've pointed out, was the first car in the series where obviously they had to use a plutonium chamber to power the car, should we say? But I just like the design of it. It's the chamber itself, believe it or not, was made from a Dodge wheel hub cap. So very, very strange parts, but yeah, all the hoses and things that you go around that go around the plutonium chamber, as again vintage aircraft parts again. But I just like the look of it better. I mean, the Mr. Fusion bit, Mr. Fusion is actually just a sheet of metal on top of the plutonium chamber with the fusion stuck on top. So actually, from a building point of view, that would have been easier to do that one than it was to do the one I did, which was the first car.
Mr. Fusion's, it's a coffee maker, isn't it, Mr. Fusion?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a Krupp's coffee grinder. Yeah.
Oh, it's superb. I mean, the some of those other details. Then, obviously, the lights all work. I mean, we've seen it lit up. It looks really impressive to see all the lights and the electronics work on the inside and on the exterior as well. And how much time did that kind of take? And so, what was the time to get all that done?
Well, a lot, really. I mean, to be fair, most of the time was the research of the parts, like I mentioned. But once you've got the parts, it still took time to get it all onto the car as well. All the lighting is RGB lighting, really, really heavy duty tubing that you can actually drive over it without it cracking. So it's really top quality stuff. But again, it was really hard for me at the time to source these parts. But I know there's a lot of builders building time machines now that are absolutely superb. I mean, there's a Facebook page, I believe, that for time machine builders, which I do follow, and the guys in there are building top quality parts, which I found hard to get originally, building them from scratch in metal, whether it's digital printing or whatever. So there's more of a community of people building the car now than what I had when I did mine. So yeah, hats off to them, doing really, really, really good jobs, and you may see a few more DeLorean time machines in the UK in the near future. You never know.
I can remember when we first saw it for the very first time. It was going back to our second event that we did, which was in 2015, which when we were based in Chorley at Films and Figures, and you brought the car. Obviously, it was not too long after you'd had it all converted at that point, and that was the first point that you'd supported us. And obviously, we've welcomed you along to all the events that we've had since. And it always goes down really, really well. It's easier for you now. It's obviously indoors. We moved indoors.
Yeah,
we did have a wet one at one stage, which was a little bit tricky for you under the gazebo. But yeah, we're glad now that the show's moved indoors and we've been able to kind of really show it, for me, how it's meant to be shown.
Yeah, I mean, it's superb. I mean, from any DeLorean owner's point of view or car enthusiast point of view, any rain that falls on a car is nasty. I mean, especially from a DeLorean that potentially could leak in. I'm not saying it does, but it could. And yeah, we had that event in 2015, I think it was, like you mentioned, where it did rain and the gazebo put up, so it didn't look the best on the photographs. However, it saved the car. Yeah. But yeah, now with the new events, of course, I mean, we've supported you. Hopefully, I'd like to think from mainly the beginning. And I'd like to think that we would carry on supporting you. And yeah, it's much better indoors because it stays dry, which is great, and I get power.
We'd obviously seen from the video there that you had a certain cast member sign the interior for you there, Mr. Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean that made my life, to be fair. I mean, as a big Back to the Future fan, I mean, to get one of the main actors in your car and to sign your car as well, it was a massive thing for me. So we actually did. We met Christopher Lloyd, met him a couple of times, but properly, should we say, we met him last November. I think it was October, November, in Scotland, where we did an event. We had numerous props and things at the back of the car and in front of the car. But we had the opportunity to speak to him, to have proper conversations with him. And to him to sort of sit in the car, to be in your car, and then for him to sign your car, it's just the best thing ever. Yeah.
Did he have any feedback? Was there anything? Obviously, he was impressed.
He doesn't. To be fair, he's quite quiet nowadays. He's a lot quieter than what you would have thought. He also likes his chocolate wrappers and his cans and things and coffees that he likes to leave in the car.
Little souvenirs. You must have saved on a shelf those little sweet wrappers from Christopher Lloyd. Yeah,
I thought about it. I thought, oh yeah, maybe I should save his wrappers, but now I'll put them in the bin. But it was great meeting him, and although he didn't say a lot, he was very very happy to be there and very happy to sign the car as well, which was awesome for me.
You mentioned there's some other bits and pieces that you have from the film. We've seen some of these other props kind of on the events that we've been doing, but you've got the cemetery tablet, haven't you? You've got that, and you've got the Lionsgate. So tell us something about the other props that you've got from the film, the setup.
From Back to Future, I'd build what I'd like to say a mini Hill Valley, and we've got a 24-foot wooden court house basically that's we use as a backdrop. But we normally put the car in front of the courtyard. We've got the Hill Valley signs. We've got full-size Line Estate gates I say full size. When I say full size, they are full size. I mean, the massive gates, and a bit of a pain to store, but great when they're in front of the car as a prop. Cool. But yeah, I've got numerous sort of hoverboards. Anything to do with Hill Valley, Hilldale, the actual clock itself in Back to the Future 3, where Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox stood for the picture, the iconic picture, Western picture. I've got that clock as well. So yeah, quite a lot of what I'd say is large scale props. I don't have massive amounts of smallest props. It's the bigger ones I seem to collect, which cause a problem for storage most of the time. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out some questions in a minute. But I just want, before we do that, I just want you just to hold up your T-shirt, just so we know if anyone wants to hire any of the props that you have, the car or any aspects of the film props from Back to the Future, that they know where to go. DeLorean, prophire.com.
DeLorean and prophire.com, which is where I'm sort of trying to advertise the DeLorean. There's some pictures on there. So if you want to take a look, I believe the one of Christopher Lloyd is on there, the photographs of him. But yeah, there's some, check it out. Check us out. If you want to hire us at any point, give us a call.
Right, that's fantastic. Mick, have we got any questions from the guys?
Yeah, sure. I've got one. So, Mike, as a fellow like prop builder and geeky kind of guy, how exciting is it when you finally find that one tiny little piece, like a little tiny thing like that, that's the accurate one? How exciting is it when you finally find it and you order it and it comes? How cool is that?
Oh, it's brilliant. Honestly, it's the best thing ever. I mean, to search the internet for weeks and weeks and weeks to weeks just to find a little hose. Yep. To actually get in your hand, and you think, I've got it. And to anyone else, it's you think, why is he bothered about hose? But funny story, actually, I went to Los Angeles, and a guy called Michael Chaffee, who actually designed the Knight Rider car and the Back to the Future DeLorean. We went out for dinner in Los Angeles, and I was ranting and raving about hoses and pipes in regards to the original car, which I'd literally just seen in Los Angeles at the Peterson Museum. And I took a picture, and I was asking him where to get these pipes and things from. And when he signed his name at the end, he basically said, I can't believe that you're so excited about a hose. He said, just put any old hose on. That's what we did. I'm like, well, we can't do that. It has to be the same as what you put on.
Exactly. It has to be exactly the same. And like I said, when them bits come, when them bits come, they don't get it. When them bits come, though, it's absolutely amazing. And at least it's not. It could have been a fridge, as we were talking about before. The original plans for the time traveling device was actually a fridge, right?
It was, yeah. Apparently, that was in the original story. But then they decided that they didn't want kids sort of trying to go back time and climbing into the fridges.
That's exactly.
That was shelved.
Yeah, probably not good. I seen that, and I was reading as well about the originally went to Disney as well. With the story, with the Back to the Future script, and Disney went, "Whoa, no, this has got this is heavy. It's got like potential incest in it and stuff." Which, for Disney, that is like really, it's got to be really spot on. And then after the fridge, they was even thinking about, they had a sponsorship deal, I believe, that the producers the guys at Universal said, you know what, we've got £75,000 here, but only if we use a Mustang instead of a DeLorean.
They did, and that's actually a common story. It's the fact that the studio did offer him a Mustang, and I believe the story goes that the writers thought, would Doc Brown really drive a Mustang? Not really for him. You couldn't really imagine Doc Brown cruising down Los Angeles or wherever he lived in a Mustang. No. So I think they did well sticking to the DeLorean. Yeah, I
agree. I agree. We've got a couple of questions coming, Mike, for you. So I think you might have touched on this, but you can touch on it a bit more detail. So Jason Conrad asks, what was the hardest part of the car to replicate?
I think anything on the back was the hardest. I mean, you see the green tubes, which are actually turbines. They're nearly impossible, or the struts, should I say? They're nearly impossible to get hold of, and to get originals, near impossible. So there are parts on the car, the green tubes that you see, the what we call a janitorial tank, which is on the back of the car. It's a big pipe thing. Again, to get hold of them, quite hard to get hold of, which is why a lot of the car is literally cast. It's nearly impossible, and I don't think there is a car in the whole world, as I'm aware, that has got fully 100% original parts on it. You will find that people have recast or they've made them themselves, or whatever. I'm not aware of any one that has actual originals. Even the actual original now, the what we call the screen used car, I don't think it's got an actual original part left on it. It's all recast parts now.
Wow, that's bonkers. Here we go. So we got Sarah Kay. Does the flux capacitor look like it did and light up like it did in the film? Yes, it does. And Mike is actually got, as you do, a spare flux capacitor right behind him there, which I'm sure he can go and show us, like Rex Smith's wall.
Well, that on the wall is actually a fan-made replica of a flux box. Unfortunately, I haven't got any batteries in it to let it flux, but the one in the car is a better version of it. And yeah, by a remote control, you can actually put it on whatever sort of a flash you want, really. So yes, it does light up, and it does look and sound pretty cool when it does.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Not a question, but a bit of a comment. Phil says, looks great. I'll keep my D stock though. I'd have to have a second one. Ooh, how hard are they to actually come by at the moment, Mike?
DeLoreans themselves, I mean, they are very they're hard to come by. I mean, if you decided you wanted one today, you're probably waiting months and months and months to actually get the type of the one that you want, really. I mean, DeLoreans themselves, there were around 6,000 made. Again, like I mentioned previously, all for the American market. But they call them DMC-12s. I don't know if you know the story behind DMC-12. The fact is, the 12 stands for the amount that they were going to be for sale for in the US, $12,000. And I believe from what I gather, when they did come out, they were actually sold for $25,000, which in today's money is equivalent of $70,000. So the question will be, would you pay $70,000 for a DeLorean now? I mean, stock-wise, price-wise, these cars are only worth, again, what people are willing to pay from them, for them, should I say. But from a stock DeLorean, you're looking at anything between £30,000 and £40,000 just for a stock DeLorean. And then you think, well, if you're going to pay that amount of money for a stock, why would you want to put a load of Back to Future parts on it? And again, people have that opinion, and that's great, and which is why I like to think that I kept with the history of the car by not drilling a hole, and like I say, the claim to fame being that actually I could take the kit off and put it to stock, I'd say within an hour and a half. So that'd be a nice TV program, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's do that. That's live next week. Mike is turning back to stock, Phil. So that'll be great. Actually, and a blatant plug for some dudes on eBay. Don't tell the missus, but there's 3 DeLoreans on eBay at the moment. I don't know how good they are, but they are going. They are around 35 to 45 grand. Yeah. So
they're a great car. I mean, well, I say they're a great car. You read a lot of horror stories as well. Unfortunately, a lot of overheating problems. So I wouldn't necessarily buy one. If you do buy one, should I say, make sure you've got enough money to maintain and repair.
Yeah, of course, you've got to look into that. You've got to think if you've got 40 grand to spend on a DeLorean and then another 10 grand to get it looking like it's got to look like. If you're spending that kind of cash, you need to be prepared for the maintenance side of it. So just the steel panels. So a new bonnet. I'm guessing you can't just order one on the internet, or can you? What's the work with the steel panels?
Funny enough, you can. I mean, some of the parts are quite expensive. I mean, the DeLorean Club in UK as well. There's 2 major DeLorean clubs. There's the DeLorean Club UK, I think it's called, and there's a Eurotech. Parts for the DeLorean itself, for the stock car, are unbelievably easy to get hold of. I can buy something today and it'll be with me tomorrow. Really, really good quality parts. Some of them are brand new parts. Some of them are old parts.
Wow.
That have been housed basically in factories and things. But yeah, 24 hours you can get parts over. So if you ever bought a DeLorean and it failed its MOT, it's quite easy to repair it. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Wayne says, drive me to my wedding next year, which we could potentially, actually, this is the kind of thing that Mike does. So Wayne will be in touch with you about that. And he also says, I'm guessing your car insurance company thought you were taking the mick when trying to get a quote. What's the insurance like?
It's well, to be fair, it's on classic insurance. So I won't sort of say how much it is, but it's not as much as what you think it would be. But yeah, when you're sort of describing the car, you have to send pictures to them as well to say what it looks like, underneath the bits and bats that's on the car, and they sort of price it accordingly. But yeah, they're well aware of that it is a time machine, and like you say, it's quite funny when you ring up and say I'd like to get a requote me time machine, and they just say what? It's one of my
qualifications. Oh yeah, time travel. Yeah, how much is that worth?
Time circuits. Yeah, big vents on the back. But it's a talking point as well, and the insurance underwriters, they have a good laugh when I ring them. Yeah.
Our good friend Martin Dootson, he's a massive 2016 Ghostbusters fan. Any chance you'll be building Doc's train from Back to the Future Part 3? Seriously though, what's your favourite of the trilogy? What's your favourite one?
What, mine?
Yours.
I was reading I love them all, to be honest. But answering that question, building the trade, it's something that I'd love to do. To be fair, but if someone's got a massive garage that we could house it in, that'd be great. My favorite. Going back to your question, Mick, I think my favorite film has to be 2 because I like the 2015, the hoverboard scenes, things like that. Going back to the 80s as well as, and the 90, going back to the 1955s, and it's got every sort of year in that, which I think 2's for me my favorite.
Awesome. Sarah Kay, can you post the link for hire, please? Let's have the t-shirt again, Mike.
DeLorean and prophire.com.
There you go. So yeah, and we'll post it in the comments. One more's just sneaked in. Have you ever met Bob Gale?
Yes, Michael Sutton, I believe that comment was from. Yes, we have met him. I actually met him in Liverpool in March. We spoke to him numerous times. Spoke to him about the films, of course, and we were lucky enough to see him again at the musical that was based in Manchester. So I believe Michael Sutton actually know Michael Sutton, I believe, and I believe you also met him, which is great. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, look at that! Right on time. The link, DeLorean and Prop Hire in the comments. Go and check it out. That's great. So, Mike, we'll come off the DeLorean a bit. So, I want you to just tell us a bit about Scene and some of the other stuff you do up there in West Yorkshire.
Yeah, well, Scene is actually, or was, should I say, it was sort of an exhibition that we did. Not only, of course, do I own the DeLorean, but I've got quite a number of props. That's Luke Skywalker speeder there, where we go to Star Wars events in. But Scene was built as an exhibition for Blackpool at Winter Gardens. What happened there was in 2015 there was a Comic-Con there. 2016 we went to them and said, look, could we do a Comic-Con? They didn't want a Comic-Con because of I believe issues with the 2015 one. But they said, would we do an exhibition? So I spoke to a couple of people, some people that I know, a guy called Steve Jabber Fawcett. He was the supplier of the Knight Rider car to David Hasselhoff at the time. And he managed to get us connected to get the contract with Winter Gardens. And we built a scene to try and get people to sit in the scenes. As you just saw there, we've got a Del Boy's flat, which we've actually just built recently. But the idea of Scene was to put cars in front of sets. And the idea is people could stand in the scene and think that they were actually in the scene. We had over 21 sets at the Winter Gardens, from Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, anything 80s. From a popular film point of view, we tried to build a set. The guy that built the set was actually a really, really talented guy, a guy called Carl. If you don't know who Carl is, he's the owner of Yorkshire Props. Very, very talented guy. He built a lot of stuff for us. And again, when we decided to do it on a large scale, because it was a 3-week event, we also asked a local events company, a guy called Martin Ballard, who I believe now specialises in darts, I believe. Not too sure. I believe he's a Jim Bowen lookalike. So
he is.
See the guy.
Yeah.
So,
yes, a great little push for Carl there up at Yorkshire Props. Carl does some amazing things. Check him out on Facebook. Super talented guy. You need any props for even business or events, head on over to check Carl's page out. But like you say, the Scene event itself, it came at a bit of a time similar to our event as such, Mike, where it's not a Comic-Con as such. It has obviously Comic-Con elements like we do, but it's more displays and more of an interactive thing. And I think you see now a lot of the the standard cons are kind of introducing a bit more of that to kind of freshen it up a bit.
Yeah. I think the idea was the fact that we didn't necessarily want to do a Comic-Con, although we pitched for one. We thought, okay, well, do we really want to do a Comic-Con?
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot harder than people think to be able to, you know, to organize events such as them and yours as well. And so when it was actually their idea to do the exhibition, it was Blackpool's idea to do it. And we thought, well, let's be different. Let's create something that no one in the UK has ever done. And that, like I say, is by providing 21 sets for people to be able to stand in there and take a photo was completely different. And not, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been done since. You know, it was just awesome. I mean, going into the actual event in Blackpool, hearing the Jurassic Park music as soon as you went in there and seeing the Ghostbuster car to the left and Herbie to the right and 18 van in there and Jurassic Park Jeep. It was all in there. Mad Max car, numerous props and vehicles. It was just the best ever. The problem with them type of events are you can't put them on in a day. It's, you know, it took a week to build all the sets, and you know we were struggling at that. You know, we need maybe 2-3 weeks to get a decent event at that level. You need 2 or 3 weeks to begin with for the building, and then obviously, you know, you can't do it over one day. You have to do it over a period of time. So it's you know, it's one of them things that I'd love to bring it back. I'm still, you know, part of scene. Would love to, you know, we still own the cars, we still own all the props, we still own, you know, you name it that was there, we still own it. It's just about finding the right venue to house it all, really.
It is, and like I said, that the venue, the Winter Gardens, it was used the middle bit and all the outside. It was like a circular thing that you walk around as well, and it was really, really different. It was really cool, especially at that time, because your standard Comic-Con was go in, meet the third stormtrooper from the right, get his autograph. Well, see, you still had some guests, but it was nothing like that, which makes it more of an audience like our audience, more of a family-based audience than a Comic-Con style audience. Same but different. Yeah. But yeah. So you were on about this. Sorry, just talking about guests at the time. We actually had Spencer Wilde in, and at the time, in 2016, he hadn't been publicly acknowledged as Darth Vader. And at the time, we booked him as a Game of Thrones guest. If only we'd been told at that point that actually he was the Darth Vader, I think it'd have been awesome. But of course, he was under contract and he wasn't allowed to mention it. But to have Darth Vader at the event was great. And Spencer, the actor himself, a brilliant guy. He loves his fans and he loves the conventions. And big fan of his. Yeah, he's a top guy. Yeah, I've done a couple of. We visited some little lad in Wigan one time together. I was in character and he was as Spencer. But yeah, he's a lovely chap, great chap. But yeah, you mentioned it then about Steve, about Steve Fawcett, iJabber. You mentioned about Steve's kit. So obviously now you're building your own kit. So that's your latest project. Like you do, you start building Night Industries 2000, right?
Yeah, I think it was a case of what car did I like as a kid, and Knight Rider was one of them cars that if you're going to build an 80s car, that's one of them to build. So I managed to source like a Pontiac car. It's taken a while actually. It's a long-term project, should we say. I've actually got a page on Facebook with people following the build of the car. It says C presents Knight Rider, I believe it is, but. The interior was ripped out. It originally came with leather interior, which of course the Knight Rider car didn't have leather interior. It had like cloth seats. So I ripped the leather off, put cloth seats in. There's different versions. Again, people may not realize there are different versions of the Knight Rider car. There's season 1, 2, 3 or whatever. My dashboard is a season 3 screen, which means there's one screen. I don't know if people remember the Knight Rider, but some of the Knight Rider cars had 2 computer screens. Some had 1. With me being a season 3 vehicle, I've just got the 1 screen. But yeah, it's taken some time to do. As I say, I fully resprayed it. It was nearly getting to the standard where I thought it's great to show the world it. But then I dropped something down the side of a newly painted car and caused a massive scratch. So it's still in storage, ready to come out.
That's cool. And like you mentioned, then you're the same as me. So Knight Rider was always the car that I wanted to have when I was a kid. 10 years ago. So is that your dream prop after the DeLorean? Was Kit your dream car, or was there another one that you wanted to do but it was either too much or just it's too much of a job.
There's a good community for Knight Rider, I think. I mean, obviously David Hasselhoff as well. He loves his fans. A massive community. Lots of help with sort of prop builders. A lot more help now than what there were years and years ago. But I think with that, it was just a case. I got lucky with the Knight Rider car. I think it was just there at the right time. I was ready to purchase. It came up at the right price, so I just snapped their hands off. But if I was to build another car, I mean, I'd love Batmobile. I'd love Michael Keaton's Batmobile. But the problem with them is they're massive.
Yeah. Well, you said if it's in the show the other week with Mark from Character Cars, and he was behind him, and it's like, I don't know, Colin will know exactly how long it is. It's like 18 foot long or something.
Yeah. I mean, you need a warehouse, put it that way, to house it in. But I mean, that'd be an awesome car to have, to be able to cruise around in a Batmobile. It'd be superb, wouldn't it? But I think, from my point of view, would I do another movie car? Well, yes, I like the idea of a Cinquecento in-betweeners car. I actually like that. And funny enough, I know that you guys were going to have that at the event. And Mr. Bean's Mini, you don't very often see Mr. Bean's Mini. And again, the actual screen used one, we're going to be at your event, which was great. And I would love to drive around in them sort of cars. Brilliant. Yeah.
It's cool. And like I said, stuff like that is amazing. Like I said, the In-Betweeners car, Mr. Bean car, we hope for them to be with us next year. But like I said, your car, in going back to the DeLorean, back in time to the DeLorean, you've supported us through many, many years, Mike, with your vehicles and your props. And I've never actually, I don't think, sat in the DeLorean and looked at it. I've just not had time. And it's really annoying. So we need to work that out. But like I say, you go back to like 80s cars. And like I said, the other one, the A-Team van, another
love the
iconic
A-Team van.
car.
Love the A-Team van.
Amazing. And all these, like, so your kit and your DeLoreans are probably your A-Team vans. They all have great building communities, and you'll find for people out there who have no idea about where you would start, you'd be surprised to see how much detail that, as you know, that Mike does, go into details on these cars, and they're all willing to help each other out. Where did you get that part? I got this part from there. No one really works in the way of, I'm not telling you. It's just not the done thing, right?
Not anymore. They used to. not
they used
anymore.
to.
I think, the community's changed dramatically, especially with Facebook now being more popular than it is. These communities starting, people sharing ideas now, helping each other. If you was to build a movie car when I did, or even before me, it's just a case of looking on the internet, trying to find out what part they use, like I said, and trying to source it. But now it's a lot easier with social media. There's people sharing ideas and secrets, and well done to them. Yeah, great stuff.
No, it's brilliant. And like I said, the A-Team van, that's another classic, do you know what I mean? And like the other show the other week with John and the Street Hawk bike, all classic things. I believe you met Dirk Benedict once with the A-Team van, and he said you look pretty similar to a famous guy that we know, which is obviously Graham Norton, for those out there who didn't know. Michael also works as a double for Graham Norton, so if you want to hire him, Graham Norton look.co.uk. Is that not right, Mike? Did I get the wrong address?
I think, no. I mean, I think I have to lose quite a bit of weight to become a Graham Norton lookalike. But yeah, funny enough, that story. Dirk Benedict actually, when I saw him first time, he sort of said, "Hello, you look like Graham Norton," and it made me laugh, and everyone around me laugh, of course. But then didn't think anything of it. And then I met him again at another event, and he shouted across the room, "Hey, Graham Norton!" And I'm like, "What?" I couldn't believe that he sort of mentioned it again. But that's my cup.
Yeah, there you go. And obviously, me and Colin never ever mentioned this to you at any point. So there you go. So you got another couple of questions here. So John Brillo, good fan of Stars and Cars. Who would be your dream Stars and Cars guest? Ooh, hang on, be careful though, because Claire's watching.
Do you know who it would be for me? If it wasn't anything to do with Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future, but I would love to meet Mr. T.
Oh yeah,
Mr. T. What a legend. Yeah.
Does he do any shows? I've not seen him do any shows that I can think of.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, he may do them in America, but no one, as I'm aware, has had him ever in the UK. So whoever brings him over is going to get, it's going to be a busy event. No doubt it'll be expensive though. Yeah. And
here's one from fellow DeLorean owner, Stephen Wickenden. Have you built a big red chair mic to go with your mug? So there you go.
I should do.
Yeah, we should do. So we knew that was coming. Colin, I got it in. I got the Graham Norton ripping.
we had to. We don't even call him Mike anymore now. It's just Graham. It's just landed, isn't it?
I've even got blonde hair like him at the minute.
For people who are watching, I've actually struggled to call him Mike through the show because we call him Graham all the time. I've had to stop myself 2 or 3 times from saying it. So anyway, thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming on. I'm sure you've put some great insight into a lot of people's minds there about how to build a DeLorean. You've probably also caused a couple of divorces in the next couple of years. Of people who are going to get on eBay now and get bidding on them 40 grand DeLoreans. So thanks a lot, Mike. We want to bring you back on when you finish your Knight Rider, maybe. That'd be great. And maybe bring some of your other stuff on. But thanks, Mike, for coming on. And thanks for your support over the years. It's been amazing.
No problem at all. We enjoy it and look forward to supporting you next year. Brilliant.
Awesome. What a legend. So let's just have a quick reminder of the DeLorean prize from Colin. Colin, here we go.
How cool is that? That is. I don't want to let this go. I want to keep it.
No, I know. I'm really struggling to let it go. Hang on. Let's just find out who the winner is from the random generated number thing. Okay, I found the winner, and the winner is also getting this, which I picked up today. 1955 McFly. These are not toys, by the way. These are not people who think this stuff is a big Lego. No. This is not big Lego. This is awesome stuff, but you do have to build it like Lego. The winner is Wayne Charnley. Well done, Wayne. We'll get that over to you soon. So that's awesome. So, Colin, I think that's it for the show. What do you think?
Oh, nice. And to be honest, funny thing is in all the time that we've had Mike at the show, I've just never had the time to chat to him about the DeLorean. The DeLorean is one of my favourite cars, and to go just do that now today has just been brilliant, fantastic.
No, it's amazing. So, guys,
now why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? It's leave, you idiot. Make like a tree and leave. You sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong. All right then.
Make like a tree and leave. So thanks, guys, for joining us today. Massively appreciated that you keep tuning in. Thanks for your questions as well. Head on over to our YouTube channel to subscribe on there and hit that little bell thing so that you keep getting notifications. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your donations as well. See you all soon.